Okay, start.
All right. Good afternoon. We are having the speaking session. There are three parts. You have part 1, part 2, and part 3 in this session. That the time will last for 15 minutes. You have the part 1 is all about yourself. You will describe about yourself. The part 2 you will have the cue card. That will be 2 to 3 minutes for this. Normally the 2 minutes. And in the discussion part, that will be our third part. We have to discuss discuss journal perspective of the topics related to the journal topic.
Okay.
So we are starting now the part 1. That is for 4 to 5 minutes. You have to speak different things, like different questions we're going to discuss in this part. So let's start the first one. May I know your name, please?
My name is Jibin Joyce Karina. People calls me Jibin, which I am comfortable with.
Alright, Jibin, we are starting from the school day. Our topic is school day. Tell me something about your secondary school.
Secondary school, from standard first towards my 10th standard, I have studied a school called Don Bosco. Actually, it's a worldwide institution. And it was a major setback that I couldn't find my admission there. Like, I have to switch my school towards another regional school. The name of the school was Mar Gregorios. It was an English medium school. I have been there since 2008, 2009. Yeah, in fact, I have passed out in 2009.
Which subject did you find most difficult at school?
Schools, I find, like in my early days of career, I mean schooling, it was social studies in fact. Then that became my favorite subject in the later on when splitting up into history and geography. That was my favorite part. At that time, maths became horrible for me. So I guess now also maths is my horrible subject.
Do you ever need that subject now?
No. Even for my graduation, we were having 5 papers of maths. Even I managed to pass all these things by putting up the theories, all those stuffs I have filled in my papers, to get more and more scores. So somewhat I have managed somehow. So I don't want to, that's one of the reasons I didn't pursue it with my masters.
What did you enjoy about being a school student?
School student means, friends are a major part of the school life. Like we are having many relations, like school funds, all those festivals which schools conducts for us. Those days are very nostalgic and gives a good feel. When nowadays also when we are visiting our old schools, it's a different feeling. You have been there for a while, and now newcomers are occupied a very space. So it's a great deal of feelings.
Now moving to the next part. It's not next part. The next topic is building. Are there any famous building in your hometown?
Hometown. Yes, there are some historic importance we are having with our religion and culture. So we are having certain temples as well as some churches in our place which are having 600 to maybe 1,000 years old buildings are there. So apart from that, modern architecture, I don't think we are having a huge building like Burj Khalifa also. So it's a small town, that's why.
Should buildings be attractive to look at?
No, I am considering buildings to be attractive, but the usage, the utility of the building which I am preferring towards, because everyone wants to use something. So if one major citizen is opting for the full resources which a country is having, the others cannot go and buy something, because we are finding some real estate companies are looting out the area which landmass one country is having, and the poor people over there is far away from getting their homes. They are just increasing the market rate. that aspect.
Okay, we have completed our first part. Now we are moving to the part 2. This is the cue card, and this you have to speak minimum 2 minutes, right? 1 minute will be given to you for writing down your thoughts,
Okay.
and the booklet will be provided for the cue card for you. So this will be your cue card, and you have pencil and paper, right?
Yes.
So this one. So we can start. You can
Yes.
start speaking.
Actually, it's not a story. It's something a controversial subject like we are dealing for many years. It's all about like the alien intervention in building up the pyramids over in Egypt, in Gaza, in Giza. So actually, I'm a fan of this History Channel. In that a particular program was there, the ancient aliens or something. The program title is there. In that, a PhD scholar is putting up all the information which is having, and he is narrating the program very well. It found to be an interesting program. Like actually, some notes are coming behind even in the news. His findings are being portrayed, like they are being telecasted as the findings of these things. What he was telling is like it's really interesting. Like we humans are always curious about our origin, where we are going, to know about our futures, everything. So in that aspect, actually, he is finding a new way. The aliens are there. They have been itself, developing this human race in this particular sort of a out of box theory now we have. So I found it very interesting because in all my old school days, I was taught in the religious aspect, God has created everything. In other aspect, we have originated from monkeys. So now we have got a new theory. So now I am too much fascinated about that, and I would like to know about that. Like nowadays, I am having less time, so. Still I manage to watch at least 2 hour episode every week. So I think it's a very good program, and the interesting part is like it's hardly having any advertisement in between. So it's worthy. Like if we are devoting like 2 hours into it, we can sit across and watch for the whole stuff. So I believe like more and more fundings should be put into these findings. Like nowadays, like Elon Musk has planned for a Mars visit. Like he's planning to take people from Earth and relocate them in Mars. So in that aspect, like we are developing towards an extraterrestrial beings.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Alright, now we are moving to the part 3. Alright, this will be a discussion part, and the first topic of the discussion part, reading newspaper. When do people like to read the newspaper?
Now actually my place is very much affected with the floods. So I think people from my area who are living here is too much eager to watch the news as well as to watch the newspaper. And one of the country's most old newspapers are in our language itself. They are owning the major groups in Hindi as well as in English, which are run in India. So actually, those people, they are very much fond of this reporting these kinds of activities like flooding, its effect on the society, everything they are portraying it. So actually, it's people are even if they know the news, people are eagerly waiting for the next day to read the newspaper. It's rather than a routine for them.
Okay. How important is it for people to have a choice of newspaper?
Yes, nowadays actually, so much brands are there. In fact, we can call them brands. Many groups are there. They are having, channel system, this radio, this newspaper, and having other publications. So they are, a big conglomerate. They are not just a group or just a company. They are huge. Their influence in the society is huge. So people are buying at least two or three papers. I know people who reads more than 3 newspapers daily. So I think the brands or the choices for the society is still there. They can choose according to their wish, because every newspaper editorial board has a political aspect, a geographical agenda, or something like that, leftist or rightist, whatever we call them. So they are having that particular mindset. So people in that particular mindset can go and read that. Yeah.
What does a good newspaper contain?
I think the major part of a newspaper is its editorial. In that, the main hand behind the newspaper is reviewing the whole day's activity into a particular topic, and they are telling their opinion on that. So it is having a huge impact in this world, because the politicians majorly rely on this thing. They are actually governing our entire system. So it is important that the newspaper should remain in a corrective mechanism in the society, because nowadays opposition, or it's even if the ruling party, whatever it is, they are just being a team. So something somewhere from the people's side, something should be there.
Okay, moving to the future of newspaper. Why do some people choose to read the newspaper on the internet rather than in a newspaper?
Internet reading, actually, the internet reading is gaining much attention because of its convenience. But I think the people won't be that much, that much satisfied rather to read through the newspaper. Just for an information matter, they are trying to read the e-newspaper or internet newspaper, whatever we call it. So as the society is concerned, like they are really they really need to be it on the hard copy. Like they don't prefer to read it on computer.
Thank you. Your task is ended, like the speaking test is over. We have completed all 3 parts, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good day.
Thank you.